Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics. And as the UK government begins plans for schools in England to have to teach remotely again, which we hope will never actually be put in place, it's been reported that Italy is doing something rather different. It's using its impressive 30-minute COVID test results programme from airports rolled out to schools. Other European countries are getting in on similar things as well. Not in the UK. We have a different plan. But first, if you'd like to be notified of daily news and politics, please subscribe to the channel and click the bell notification icon. So I'll just say again, apologies if there's any little weird glitches in the matrix during this. The catastrophic technological failure that I had last week has not been resolved, and the workaround has a different technological failure aspect to it. But anyway, we will push on. So anyway, while we continue with our insufficient level of testing and inability to even get test results back to the overwhelming majority within 24 hours, the world is moving on. As a result of global initiatives, tests which can give results back in 15 to 30 minutes have been cleared and are being rolled out internationally as a result of an agreement. In terms of the European take-up, we've got Germany, France and Switzerland getting their orders in. Italy's been using its own, rapid result system, as I say, in airports. They're rolling that out across schools now. That obviously will help reduce the need for students to miss out on lessons unnecessarily because someone in their class tests positive. They all have to isolate. No, we can give you tests really quickly, get those results back really quickly and get more kids in schools. So what about the UK? Well, Boris Johnson talks all the time about the need to get kids into schools and to keep kids into schools. So he should be well on for this. But no. The government, of course, would like tests that can return quick results. Of course they would. It's not in their political interest to keep people isolated at home when the Conservatives want the opposite. They want bustling town and city centres, and quick-fire pregnancy-style tests would be just the ticket. Absolutely all over it. Unfortunately, it does seem to be against their politics to genuinely collaborate with international initiatives, despite the global Britain rallying cry. And it's dead against their politics, it seems, to actually buy anything that doesn't put billions of pounds into the pockets of their friends and party donors. The bottom line is that the UK government has not announced that it's going to be getting in on these tests, just like it avoided getting in on international procurement operations at the start of the crisis. Our solution, our plan, is to come up with our own test. For the love of puppies, come up with our own version when perfectly good ones already exist. No one's saying they're perfect, no one's saying they can't be improved upon, but at the moment they are the best ones that exist. This is very much like coming up with our own ventilators idea, which meant huge delays in acquiring stocks. Like we were going to come up with our own tracing app, which never materialised at all. The one we have now, which still isn't brilliant, is not the one that we tried to build from scratch. Like we were going to have world-beating response to the pandemic that has seen us humiliated on every count. And that humiliation has cost jobs, businesses, lives, and any trust, of course, in the government. I can barely imagine what it must have been like if, for public health experts in this country, experts in this, and they know what needs to be done. And they hear that there are tests that can return results in half an hour. And we're not planning on buying them. We're going to make our own. And the ones we're developing take longer to return a result. So the ones we're actually trying to develop take longer. And they're more difficult to use. I mean, fair play actually trying to develop the test. That's not what I have an issue with here. That's great. The more people that are involved and the more groups that are trying different approaches to this, the more chances that good ones will emerge in a timely manner. But ours didn't end up at the moment being one of the better solutions. So why go with it? I mean, at least buy into the currently best versions. If you think there's still potential in the ones that we're investing in, even though they take longer to get your results back, and even though they're more difficult to use, because that sounds like a dead end to me. But okay, if you insist, keep the research going, by all means. but get the best in that's available right now. And the best that is available right now are the ones that other countries are putting in orders for. And the more cases we have, the more people are being told to isolate, most of whom will not be infectious, of course. But they don't know that until they're tested. And it's all very well the Conservatives trying to avoid another lockdown. I mean, as it was announced last week, a quarter of the country is already in lockdown, and a significant proportion of the rest in areas that aren't under local lockdown are still effectively in, because they're in isolation, because they need to wait for tests, which they can't always get, and results which are taking a long time to get back to them. Get more tests, get tests that return results quickly, and you can get those people back to school, back to work. But no, we have this self-destructive British exceptionalist Brexit mindset, because that's what this is. This is the Brexit mindset. When Boris Johnson talks about global Britain, he doesn't mean working with the world, but leading it. That's what he means by that. That's why he won't ever get on top of this crisis. When we emerge on the other side of this, because at some point we will, goodness only knows when, goodness only knows how much damage will have been done. It will be in spite of this government and this attitude, not because of it. Because there are two levels of failure with this attitude. First of all, if you work with lots of organisations around the world, you pool your expertise, you increase your chances of getting the best outcome quickly. We are not doing that. We are trying to work in isolation, and so we're missing out. Second, but it is possible that you could still earn some wins. You might, for example, just so happen to have the best team in the world for developing COVID tests, or for modelling infection rates, or for building a test and trace infrastructure, developing a tracing app. It makes no difference, because all of these programs have been overseen by serial failures who do not even have a background in science, medicine, or even public health in general. This is not the first time I've had to say this, and it won't be the last. Nothing, absolutely nothing that we have done under the direction of Boris Johnson has worked. It's not just that the net effect is negative, but not a single component of our public health response has worked. Not one. Sure, economic support was initially decent. Wasn't the best, as Boris Johnson tried to say, but it was decent. Though even that is failing badly now. Cover that later. But the public health response has failed on every count, and there have been lots of elements to it. Our messaging to the public has been confused and confusing. Early on, even cabinet ministers contradicted each other because they didn't know what the rules were. Last week, the Prime Minister got the rules wrong and had to correct himself later that day, yet failures, according to him, are still the fault of the public for not following the rules that he doesn't understand. When prominent people did break the rules, as was sadly inevitable, he supported them if they were close to him. This was a failure of governance. He failed to lock down early enough, and so our peak went higher and lasted for longer than other European countries. And our recession has been deeper. We abandoned test and trace, which was initially working. We were doing that. It was working. Then we stopped it in favour of this belief in magic of herd immunity without a vaccine. Instead of resourcing the NHS to manage our test and trace programme, we rebooted it, spending a lot of money on getting private companies to do it, who promptly failed to supply the tests we needed and lost and continue to lose test results as well. And the list goes on. But there is no need for a list of things that they got right, because there's nothing on it. So this really is the latest example of the government passing up on something that is currently the best solution on offer. And it will happen again and again. Every time the government announces that it is not going to use an effective solution from outside of the UK because we're going to develop our own, we should shudder at the prospect. But anyway, those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. Hope you found the video interesting. If you did, don't forget to click the like button. If you'd like to support the channel further, please also click the Patreon link for details. And until next time, I'll see you later.